On this episode of our Axis and Allies Global 1940 2nd Edition tutorial series, we're going to go over the strategic options for the UK. Now, the UK has a few interesting rules unique to itself, the most relevant being that its economy is split in two. Seems to be done for balancing reasons. If the UK could put all 40 IPCs on one side of the board, it would make the Axis have a far more difficult time. But anyway, the Pacific economy accounts for everything on the Pacific boards besides Western Canada. That goes to Europe, and in exchange they get Western India. But everything else on these two boards is part of the Pacific economy, represented by their Union Jack roundel. The Europe economy is everything on the two Europe boards, aside from Western India, and in exchange they get Western Canada. On the first edition printing of the game, Western Canada is split into two different territories. I'm not exactly sure of the names, but the rule, as far as I know, is exactly the same. Now, for your strategic options as a UK, first off, you're everywhere. You're spread all over the board. And we're going to talk region by region as what you should do. Over here at the UK itself, you're kind of going to be playing defense for a while. You're not going to be in any position to launch any amphibious assaults. You're not going to be landing on the continent. You're not going to be doing any D-Day stuff. That's just not in the cards. Typically, I'd try to build maybe a strategic bomber or two, try to damage the German and Italian factories. That's not a must-do. That's just like a kind of nice-to-do thing if you have the spare money. On turn one, I'm a big advocate of always building 6 infantry and a fighter and putting them in the UK, just in case Germany wants to do Sea Lion. I talked about my thoughts on Sea Lion in the German video, but it's not a chance you really want to take. And plus, those infantry will come into play later if you do decide to go and land on the continent. All your Canadian stuff, you need to get it out of Canada. Either send it to the UK or you can send it down here to Gibraltar. And now we're going to talk about the Mediterranean and Africa. This is probably where you're the most important. No other allied power is really going to be messing around down here too much. The Americans might come down here and landing in Morocco, but for the most part, you're going to be pulling all the weight down here. Your number one priority on turn one, above everything else, is taking out this battleship here in C-Zone 97. Now, there's tons of stuff you could bring in there. You're going to be able to knock it out like 90% of the time if you know what to bring in there. That's typically one fighter, your strategic bomber from the UK, your fighter from Malta, your destroyer, cruiser, and tactical bomber from C-Zone 98. C-Zone 98. And that's what you throw there into 97. Hopefully it's enough. It typically is. You have a very high chance of winning. And it's even better if Italy decides to scramble its fighters. And even if Germany has one there, odds are you're still going to win it. In addition to that, I'd take that cruiser and fighter, send them here into C-Zone 96, take out that destroyer and transport. And then you have a couple of other things on the ground you could do. You could take Ethiopia turn one by sending some things from India using that transport. Or you can go for Tobruk. Tobruk is definitely the riskier option, but you're going to get more out of it. You're going to be closing North Africa a lot faster than you would if you took Ethiopia. In the Pacific here, you're just kind of playing defense, even more so than in the UK. You're not really going to be ever attacking. It's very rare, simply because you don't make that much money, and Japan just starts out with so much more that you're just not really in any position to do much. Typically, I would defend India, and if you have the ability, try to defend right here in Yunnan. That's typically where I bottleneck the Japanese. I like to try to hold Malaya as well. Over here, you want to be building a lot of infantry. This is the only place I would suggest maybe throwing in an AA gun or two, simply because Japan is so reliant on their aircraft. And they start with so many. They have like 21 to start the game off. As the UK over here, you're going to have to be prepared to lose a bunch of stuff, even more so than the other half of the board. Like, you're going to lose Hong Kong, guaranteed, very early. You're probably going to lose Borneo. You very well may lose Malaya, the Shan State, and Burma. It's not guaranteed, but if Japan really wants it, they're going to take it, and there's nothing you can do about it. If a Japanese player really knows what they're doing, they're going to bomb India into the ground. So you're going to spend like all your money trying to repair that factory. So you're just not really going to be able to do much. Your ships, get your ships out of there if you can. You know, if Japan attacks on turn 1, there's nothing you can do. But after, once it gets to you, get them out of there. Because if they stay here, they're just going to be destroyed anyway. And the last little area I'm going to mention is the Middle East. This is more for like further down the road. And I guess this is going to be our segue into like broader strategies. As the UK, you're really going to be bridging the allies together. Like, you'll probably be interacting with the Soviets, the Chinese, Anzac, France, and the United States. And no other allied power is really doing that to the same degree you will be. And a lot of that is facilitated by this Middle Eastern connection here. Because you're going to be able to get Eastern Persia. You'll probably be taking Persia. And either you or the Soviets should take Iraq. Now, you'll have to work that out with them. It really just depends on what you want to do. But anyway, I like to put 2 factories here, 2 minor industrial complexes, and from there send ground troops into the Southern Soviet Union to help protect that front. Sometimes I'll even build one in Egypt, although I don't think you really need it if you have South Africa and if you have some transports down there. But I really like having the UK kind of take some pressure off of the Soviets around like Stalingrad or something, so they can focus on defending Moscow. Your other option, is building up a bunch of transports and stuff and landing on the continent. That's doable, but you can't do it by yourself. You need the United States to do some of the heavy lifting as well. Ships are expensive, and it's going to be a lot easier for Germany to defend than it will be for you to attack. You could try doing amphibious assaults in Italy, but again, you have the same problem. It's going to be a lot easier for them to hold it than for you to take it. But Italy may very well be an easier target, depending on what they do. But yeah, as the UK, you're not in any real position to do a lot of stuff by yourself. You're going to be playing support in a lot of regions. It's really just like Africa and the Middle East where you're the main force. Everywhere else, you're just kind of helping out wherever you can. But the UK is extremely important, extremely versatile. You'll have tons of different things you can do. Like I said, I'm really in favor of this Middle Earth strategy, I've heard it called. But I'm sure there are dozens of other things you could do. But yeah, that's the UK's basic strategies.